I'm supposed to do a before and after today, like give you a story of great success. And I'll be honest, I almost like really couldn't do um, this prompt at all, mainly because I hate the before and afters, especially because they're often linked to the body and money. And I'm like, really? That's all we have? Um, and but I went in, right? Like this is one of those moments I invite you to consider, even if you're not in the mood to do what someone has asked you to do, but you signed up to do it, that mayhaps you're being invited to try it out in your own way. And so I did. So this is my before and after. And I'm going to say they're the same woman in the absolute same place in the sense of like career, relationship to family, like all of it is exactly the same intuition. And yet only one thing is really different. So let's jump in. In the midst of all this, you may hear my kitty cat in the background. My apologies. She's looking for my partner who stepped out for a walk. So, I today I feel like I really want to delve into showing both versions, mainly because I just don't agree with this. Like, oh, I didn't have money, or I worked for the man, and now I work for myself, and I didn't know how to make any money, and then I made six figures, or like magic, like in the world of creation and creating things. Sometimes people go like, oh, like I didn't have anything, and now all of a sudden I have a book. Right? It's like wave a wand, right? That's what before and after is usually like signify to us. Like they ignore like this big part of the middle. But mine is quite different. Um, because one, I truly believe I'm still like becoming. I'm in the midst of building something and creating things. So I'm in like that messy middle. But my approach to business, to my creative projects, like all of that is actually quite different from the woman I was just like last year, right? And that is big because that difference is about how I relate to the things I'm creating. It's not necessarily about like before I didn't have this and now I have this, right? Um, and I usually don't really want to delve into this because it doesn't look like a before and after, right? A before and after is hinged upon a great level of success, right? And today, what I want to talk about is that sometimes your before looks like great success. And I think that's what happens with women who work with me, who've been out in the world doing things like you're successful, you've achieved stuff, right? And so sometimes our before is not like some decrepit hot diggity mess. Like my before is a dissertation. That thing wasn't that bad. It was pretty good. I was like pushing the envelope on a few ideas, the field, and a few different, like that was success because I completed it, right? And and what nobody teaches us is that sometimes even if something looks good on the outside, but something feels off on the inside, that it is okay to leave it, even if something is working, right? Which is where you might be right now. Like there might be something in your business that feels like this really works for people. You get compensated well, but like something is off, right? Or maybe you're your current role and you're like, oh, I started writing this book and I started doing all this stuff, right? Um, and yet something feels off about the project. Like you're like, oh, I got pages, I got chapters. I'm like working, right? Um, you may hand those things to other people. You may be working with clients and it all looks great. Like looks great, like people are getting actual results, like you're helping people change their lives and you feel good about that, right? Maybe you're like, no, I gave this a certain amount of time. Maybe you signed up to work with someone. You're like, yeah, I came up with some pages. I got some stuff done, or I learned this skill in order to develop this creative endeavor that I'm really interested in, right? And it's all really good, but there is something slightly off. Or you might be in a position of like, oh, this works, but it's still not bringing me towards the goal I had imagined, right? So instead of choosing to stop and take a moment, right? You're like, well, it works. And to the outside world, it looks like it works. And this is what's measured, right? You ignore that sort of feeling inside and you just like what I call like bum rush yourself forward, leading straight from your brain and your mind and taking a lot of action. Some people that I know don't take any action because it's just too much, and they throw themselves and they throw action into the other thing so that they don't have to think about how they're using their time or bringing it together, right? Um, but that slight, I don't know, that slight knowing within you that's like, something feels off is information for you. And you don't like, for other people, they need to see it be like a hot mess, right? For them to count and to listen to that knowing. But for some of us, that knowing doesn't come when we see the mess because we don't even let the mess happen because we're like, oh no, we can't, right? Um, and so I want to share like my own before and after. So if you've been following me along on this journey, then you know that like a year into my business or so, year and a half or so, I decided to stop with an offer that was a lot more aligned with uh, the work I had been doing in the workforce. And I went on a journey, and then I created this new offer. And it was called the Writing Corner. It's for women of color, helping them develop their voice in writing and helping them really like, I call like energetically align to their writing projects so that they can like move through the mindset guck and like be able to like do the writing project that's on their heart. And this came from a place in me that was like, oh, I love writing, and what I've always loved is storytelling. And so I was like, oh, I'll create this different kind of offer. It'll be a lower ticket membership. And I had honed these gifts, not just in the workforce, I had honed them myself, like as a student, right? Like, so yes, I teach writing, but I also am a writer. And so I was like, oh, I have so much to offer. And the stories I've always loved are the stories by and about women of color. So I was like, oh, and even the development of that offer was very much one in which I was listening to my guides because I wanted to keep opening it up to everybody. They're like, this offer is only for women of color. I was like, but I have all these white women in my communities that I've worked with, and I've helped them with other things in regards to writing. Like, they're like, no. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, I have to follow it, right? Um, so this is my way of telling you, like, you could still follow your intuition, your guides, connect with your business, and move through an offer that later on still feels off. But what you did was what you had to do because that was part of your journey of learning, right? Um, and so I love this offer. What ended up happening with me was like I laid all this stuff in, a lot of stuff, but I wasn't necessarily increasing the cost of the membership. And what ended up happening was I wasn't really getting that many people to join, right? Um, so I would have several different kinds of launches that weren't really like real launches. I don't think they're more like soft launches. And and I would get a few people, but almost everybody who joined was someone like I knew or had had conversation with. And so I kept moving forward through the offer because it was really, really heart fulfilling. But what ended up happening about like 3 to 4 months, actually like 6 to 7 months in, actually, I'll be honest. I'm gonna be honest. It from the beginning, I felt like I was continuing to try to figure out like what is up with this offer. Like this feels really great. This is perfect. It's getting me writing. It's getting them writing. But I won't lie to you. Almost like maybe after the first month or two in the offer, I was like, something's off. Not with them, but with me. Like my level of like anxiety, my people pleasing was like, oh, I gotta pay attention to them. Who are they? Like, let me make sure I get my ICA right. Let me walk in this path of like all this overthinking and like getting it just right so I can update a sales page so I can get more people to join. Like I was just like on this incessant need to refine something before I fully understood what it was. And that was just me leading with my mind the whole time, right? Really, the whole time. Because I would hear it again and again and again from the members. I was like, I'm fine if you just did this once or twice a month. And I'm like, oh, that's it. But like my heart was like, but I'm here for more. Am I not? Like, and then I would include all these other components in the membership, and that required more showing up. And I was like, oh my goodness. And at the end, 3 to 4 months before the time I closed the membership, I had a reading with a dear friend. And, this is why you have readings with people who care for you and who the message will be delivered through, that you can trust. Because they were giving her information about the writing corner. She's like, this offers. I'm like, no, but like, what if it could be, when you hold on to dear life, this is what it is. You like, I always say, like, you manipulate and you, really what you do is try to negotiate. So I was negotiating. I was like, yeah, but maybe the membership could become this instead. I was thinking like this. I could, I could shift its focus, you know? And they're like, nah, no, no. And I was like, what? Huh? After that reading, I was in a tizzy. I was upset. And if you've been around here, I'm a bit of a rebel. I don't like to follow guidance, even when it's given to me by the divine. I imagine there's a reason for that, and I will write a good book about it one day, but I don't like being told what to do, especially. And even though I knew within me, like, oh, something's been slightly off, I don't know what it is, even though it had nothing to do with the women in the membership, it had all to do with me, right? And so I eventually closed it because there was something that was calling more to me. And I couldn't tell what the offer was. I couldn't tell where I was being led because in my heart, I just knew like this isn't the offer for where I'm headed. Because where I'm headed is I'm headed towards trying to embody these other gifts that aren't just based on like the things that I've um refined and mastered in the workforce. Like there's more. And there's like this spiritual and energetic component. And what I noticed with the offer eventually was like, oh, the outcome of this offer is that I help you get more comfortable with writing and in your voice and sharing more. And the outcome was always like, what is the writing and where is the writing going? Right. Versus the outcomes I'm always much more interested in uh are the other things, like who are you becoming on the way to the writing? What does the writing show you about yourself and what you have to heal and what you have to do? And for me, writing was always a tool. It was never an outcome to anything, right? I think because I went through the workforce in higher education and I'm an English major, like the writing was always the outcome that showed that you did your thinking and that you went to class and you got all this stuff done, right? But when I sat in this offer and I was like, oh, the writing is like a fraction of this, like a fraction of this. The writing is the tool in service to a woman's becoming, right? And so I closed the offer. It was heart wrenching. And then I just stopped. Like I was like, okay. They were like, you need to stop. They told me for a year, and I just was like, I don't know. Um, that's what the guy said. They're like for a year, and I was sitting there from like January, I think, till April, maybe May, probably middle of April, where I was like, well, I'm just supposed to sit here. And I did a couple of things, and I sat there like with my overthinking brain. I was like, what about this offer and this thing and this thing and this thing? And they're like, you need to take it down a notch. Take a moment. Meanwhile, I'll be honest, throughout that time, my body was like shutting down. I had gotten sick. I don't know how many times. I was supposed to go on a writing retreat, didn't get to go on the writing retreat because I got the flu. I've never had the flu, BT dubs. The flu came in. Before I had the flu, I was sick at the end of the semester. There was a span of like 7 to 8 weeks, for which 5 of those weeks I was just like out for the count. Right. And so as much as I was like, yeah, but what about this business offer? And I really want to work with this and I want to do this. They're like, you need to take a minute. Yo, you're tired. You got to go teach. And I want to build this new thing. But your body, my body, as some folks in these streets are saying, was probably exhibiting some ascension symptoms because it was not really that stressful at that time. I've had much more wild months and years. But the truth was the offer closed and my body was like, blurp, need to recalibrate. Right. And out of that sort of empty time, because I was still working and I was still showing up and doing stuff in the business to like, I would do my writing for my list. And then, oh, I did start a new YouTube channel. So they're like, you want to do something? Go to YouTube, start your channel, start channeling. Because that's what they're like, you need to close this offer and you need to open your channel and become the vessel that delivers the message, not just the people who hire you, but you need to get on a public platform with this identity that you want to walk in as like a spiritual guide, as a priestess. And I was like, oh my God. So that's what I was doing throughout that time. I was like actually building the channel that you're watching this on, right? And and I'll be honest, it was a lot of unknown, and I had no idea what kind of offer will come, what will I do. I returned to other things I thought I was supposed to do. And then April, May came, and I came up with the idea of the Sacred Creative Studio. There was something in me that reminded me that I was here to help people who were wanting to build things, what I call outside the matrix, right? It's either a business or a piece of art or a way of being, right? And I was like, oh, I want to do this. But I'll be honest, I had one idea of how I thought this was supposed to be, and they're like, "That's not how it's supposed to be." They wouldn't give me the way it's supposed to land. But after talking to women, after hosting an event, I was like, "Oh, this is a membership." Initially it was like sort of like a higher ticket monthly support for the woman that's like in the knee deep middle and needs support to clear things sort of energetically, spiritually, and someone to be there as they walk the journey to completing it. And I used some of that language, and the women around me weren't there. And so intuitively, like I sort of got the sense of like, oh, this needs to be a membership. Then I spoke to someone who was sort of new to my community. And immediately when I got her feedback, I was like, oh, I followed the right intuition here. She's like, oh, I'm so glad you changed the structure. Cause she was like, I was worried you weren't going to be able to be there the whole time I was working on this. She because I can't imagine getting it done in the time period that you stated. And I was like, oh. And when she said that, I was like, right, like creative projects, like businesses, books, works of art, like they don't follow the linear timeline of like, this is a short container, right? And if I'm going to work with people, then they need to know they're going to be held throughout the duration of that. And the way that I work best with people, I realize is like, I help people like really get to work in ways that feel good. And so I was like, "Oh, this is what's landing," right? But I did all that based on a lot of unknown, and it continues to be unknown. And what I'll be honest with you about is the beauty of my first offer, the writing corner, was really a beautiful, beautiful lesson for me because now I walk this path with the Sacred Creative Studio very differently. I I follow my intuition for almost everything. In addition to listening to them and seeing what comes up and how I might be able to improve the container, I also feel like I walk this path like sort of like a loose garment. Like it doesn't have to be one thing. I'm like, this is what it looks like right now. Let's see what as it continues forming and what I continue doing and who comes in, like what is the shape of the offer meant to be? Right? Because in my heart of hearts, I'm like, this could be like a higher, much higher ticket membership where I hold a certain number of people. This could become something lower ticket, or this could become something with tiers. I'll be honest, when it comes to my other offers, I was like just so set. I was like, I know what this is. This is what I'm giving. This begins. This is when it ends. When it comes to this offer, I walk with it so much more differently. I'm like, okay, we're going to show up, see how it feels to show up, be of service, listen, and then see what unfolds. Knowing that this offer is going to evolve, my relationship to it will evolve while also being anchored really deeply in the knowing that I think I will always have an offer that helps women with their creativity. Like always. So whether it's in the form of a membership or some other offer that does have a beginning and end, or it becomes something that's different and more one-on-one, like I don't know. But I am willing to walk the path of the membership for a certain amount of time to figure out like, ooh, what is this? What messaging is required to get more people in the room? What is it people get out of this once they are in the room? And is that in alignment with what I had imagined? Is it something different and also magical? Um, all that good stuff. But before this offer in the business, I held on to things like very tightly. I was like, no, this is gonna be the thing. And then I would like build dreams off of it. Like, I'm gonna build a school about this and I'm gonna build this. And like I could literally see the path ahead of me. And as they say in the personal development world, if you can see the path ahead of you, it's probably not your path because that's the logic brain, like literally coming up with the path for you. Right. So I can often, like visually, I will be given visions of my book. Like I worked on my book today for 3 hours and I was frustrated because I was like, oh, I want to see this thing more fully formed. But I arrived into my get it done hours and I was like, okay, I'm going to go in. I'm going to ask my guides, like, where are you asking me to go versus where I think I should go? And they had me spend like 2 hours reviewing everything I'd already written. And then they were like, the structure of the book is this. You need to be on the lookout in the next week or 2 weeks for additional signs that we're going to give you so that you could understand what the form of the book is supposed to take. They're like, just pay attention. Right now, you can't get back into writing until, you get back from, I'm going to go see my nieces. And so that is a very different relationship with even a writing project, because what I'm used to in academia is like you set an outline, you get that outline approved by someone, then you're given the approval to go ahead and begin writing that thing. And your argument might change, but the structure is the same. Each chapter is a certain number of length and it has to refer to whatever, right? And everything is very logical. Or everything is like very sit with and marinate until like your thinking cells. One of my favorite characters in a whodunit says gray cells. And so your little gray cells like makes the most logical sense out of it, right? Even if it is like an emotional response to a literary work that I'm analyzing, I can think about it and form it according to the evidence there. Like if I just sit with it long enough, this book is like the freaking opposite of what academia does. And it's the hardest thing for me to just be like, okay, I'm complete. I did 3 hours of this work today. I thought I would be somewhere else. They placed me in another place. And I have to be open to the formation of this book. I don't really want it to be formed the way they want it to be formed. I connected with the energy of the project, connected with my guides. All of it came in and it's like, I don't want to do it the way you told me to do it. But I also know what happens when I start doing things the way I think like the way I want to do it. That path is strewn with a lot more work and it's actually a lot more exhausting because by the time I'm at the end of it, I'm like, oh crap, this isn't it. Right. So now I'm a lot more like, let me listen, let me pause, let me take a break in between writing, especially because at the moment at which I'm in, similar to the business, it's the really big, messy middle where you're just like sitting there trying to hit things. And at one moment you crystallize and you find magic. Like in my offer, that was like, oh, sacred circle. Oh, get it done hours. Like magic crystallized. Right. Then in the writing, it's like, oh, this essay is magic. It talks about the theme of the book. So good. I'm in tears. It's amazing. And then I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to do that with these other essays. Right. So there are these moments of magic. But unlike the past, in the past, Raquel would be like, oh, that magic is wonderful. Let me just follow it with my mind till kingdom come. Raquel in the present now is like, okay, I got to sit and I got to enjoy that magic. And I got to like be in the presence of it and then let it inform the next pieces of information that I receive. So that then I can do something with that information that then continues to help me gather the momentum to keep going, right? Because I'm used to working in the workforce where it's like, especially when it comes to teaching, things happen according to deadline. Things have to be complete. Different academics will tell you they do things a little differently. Some people take a little longer to get things marinated and complete and finished. But for me, I think I was always trying to bum rush through it because it was uncomfortable and it wasn't writing I was supposed to be doing. I was like, I just got to get this done so I can get my job. I just got to get this done so I can get my degree. Like, I don't want to do this shit. So I just like bum rush it. Right. And that's like the opposite of what I try to do now. I take a lot of action. I still take a lot of action. I sat through 3 hours of get it done hours today. I took action and I did some amazing work. And I'm taking action to build and grow the Sacred Creative Studios and offer. But all of it is a lot more intentional. And all of it is asking the question that I often ask myself, which is like, is this the next best intuitive step to reveal the information I need to receive? Or am I just taking action because I'm too uncomfortable to sit in the moment of presence and pause between now and the next step? My tummy dropped when I said that because that's the hardest freaking question to answer. But it's one I'm often asking myself, right? And the way I can answer that question often is I look at my imagined timeline of something, right? It happens in the business too. I go, well, I'm like, oh yeah, I have all these people in the membership before school starts, and then I'll be fine and I won't have to do anything. And it's like, okay, what has my experience taught me? And what do I actually have access to right now? Right. So I often look at like what my imagined timeline is for something. And then I look at what's actually on, like, what are the things that are expected of me in my life as like a partner, professional, daughter, like, I'm like, and how much of that needs to get done in a certain time? How does that align with this imagined timeline? That's the way I do it because I realize real quick, like I have created an imagined timeline for something, right? Like I had today, I think part of the difficulty with sitting to write the messy middle of the book is this idea that by the end of the summer, I wanted a full draft of the book. But I also spent most of the summer preparing for a move. So my energetic state, my capacity, while I'm also working on the Sacred Creative Studio, I just was like, it's just not happening. It's just not happening. Right. And so that's the thing that I always go up against. It's like, is that timeline imagined really something that can be met? And what's the true and honest timeline asking of me right now? And what's more important for me to prioritize right now? Right? It's good stuff, y'all. Because past me would have just like pushed through and figure out how to finish the draft by the end of August and looked at it like, what did I do? Right? Me, I'm like, well, it looks like they're sending me on a journey with this book. And there's sometimes that some creative projects take years. Do I get the sense that this book is going to take years? No. Intuitively, I think the book will be complete in a year. I'm not sure it's been a full year yet. I don't think I started it last summer. I think I started it like in the fall semester, which right now would be, oh yeah, in a couple months, it'll be a year that the book idea came to me. Because I didn't actually start writing it until like December. Because the idea came to me while I was sitting on a train in October, and I was like, nah, yo, like, what you want me to do with that? I don't know what to do with that. And they're like, nah, yo, that's part of a book, yo. And I was like, oh, no, yo. Um, so I was like, fine, I'll put it on the page and we'll see. So it's really only been like 7-8 months. I don't get the sense this book is like a forever, several years project. But I do think I have to allow time and space for the timeline that's best for the book. Right? Because that's what I agreed to as I decided to be in relationship to the business and my book. I don't get to just like create things because I'm magical. I get to be in relationship to the things I create so that then those things actually suit the people that they're meant to and they serve them. It doesn't just serve my creative agenda. There's a lot of things I do for my own creative agenda. Like you can go check out my Substack. That's like pure Raquel creative agenda. I don't really ask much about my Substack because that's like my place to just go, right? Because of the business, and when it comes to, this book, it's not the same. It's different. And I honor that because I've tried the other way. And I'm not proud of the work I do. And I'm not excited to keep doing it. Right. And so I'm just here to tell you sometimes for some of us, it's not like wreckage. It's not like something went bad. Sometimes it looks like something's just working. It's chugging freaking along. Chug, 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 like the train is moving. And it looks like the way it's supposed to look. But there's something within us that's like when the train like shakes a little and you hear the scraping, it's like that's that intuitive that's like, oh, something's off here. And that's what it looks like for some of us who like work on things and they all look great, right? Like sometimes it's not absolute failure. Sometimes it's like, wow, this really turned out well. I made it a muck because I took it a bit too far. By a muck, I mean like I gave a lot to that membership, but I didn't charge appropriately for that. But that experience really helped me build this Sacred Creative Studio. And that's, I think, what we forget is that even in the midst of things that are working, our job is to just like listen so that we can figure out how it helps inform us for things we want to do in the future. So the Sacred Creative Studio now is like built on the things that like was so easy for me to deliver. And I priced it so that I felt adequately compensated, right? But I couldn't have done that without my experience in the writing corner. And I couldn't have led certain things the way I do in the creative studio if I had not gathered that confidence and the enjoyment of serving other people in ways that really mattered to me in the writing corner. And so I'm here to tell you, even if you're in the midst of something that works, but it's slightly off and it's time to close the chapter, but you don't know what to do, I'm here to remind you, like, the next step is going to be informed by your experience right now. So it's to your benefit to just explore what the nudge is. Like, what is the thing that's like slightly off, right? Because for some of you, it might just be something that changes within that offer or changes the approach that you take to the thing you're creating, you might not be actually changing the whole thing. Mine, because this is the stuff I teach, my shit changes. Like the whole thing fucking changes. But for you, that may not be the case. So don't assume that, because it may keep you from actually doing the work that's required, right? Because if you're on your path and you're doing things that already look successful on the outside, then the truth is that some part of your gift lies there. Like some really beautiful part of what you're here to serve the world with lies in that space. And you get to take that with you based on how you want to see it exhibited, exercised, expressed out in the world. All right. So this is day 11, BT Dubs. And BT Dubs is like the first day I felt really comfortable to like share. So in case you're out there doing shit and you're like, when will it feel comfortable? Sometimes you just gotta show up to share. And by comfortable, I mean like I felt comfortable enough to like just I mean I have an outline, I'm sort of talking through it, but like the messages that came through today were like so not things I prepared at all. And so just a reminder to you, like sometimes it takes a little while for shit to feel aligned. Even as I know it's really easy for me to go live every day. The more difficult thing sometimes is like, oh, I gotta put on a different shirt, I gotta put on lipstick. Like, what am I gonna do? And then prepping, like, I don't wanna do this. Remember at the beginning of the show, I was like, I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this. Um, this prompt. This prompt is yucky. It's everything I'm against, right? And I went into it and I let AI sort of help me give me some more prompts of things to consider. And I was like, wow. And now I'm really proud of everything I had to share about that. And so just remember the other end of you doing hard shit that's uncomfortable, where you're following your intuition and you don't know where it's going to guide you. Like there's going to be amazing landing for you there. There's going to be amazing wisdom. And what I really want to say is my heart is saying like, it's amazing enjoyment, yo. Like this is easy for me. Like I love talking about these things. And that's how I know. And I love talking about them like this, in this long form format, right? And so just to remind you, like you will find what you love. Either it's the thing you're doing or you will be guided towards the thing you love. So I have done a lot of other challenges. I gave myself a 40-day Instagram challenge once, y'all. And I sort of had someone helping me back then. And then they had to sort of stop helping me early on in that challenge. And I was like, F my life. And I did it. And I learned a lot. But I can't tell you it ever felt as right and true as to what I'm doing here. Nothing has felt as right and true as when I channel on YouTube. Like it's all. And do you know how hard it was to like even decide to create a YouTube channel where all I do is like channel from cards and tell you about messages from angels? Like that shit was like the opposite of what my mind was ready to do. And it is literally the path to my greatest liberation. It makes me feel so good about what I do. And so just reminding you, you have a before and after too. Tell me in the comments if there's something that really works for you right now, that looks like it works, but there's something slightly off. You don't have to leave it to tomorrow. You can let yourself count it for today without having to take action on it. Because that's the beauty. It's like sometimes I always say, oh, I'm a slow action taker when it comes to like shutting down an office. It took me 3 to 4 months to shut down my writing corner. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I did it in a really loving way. And I gave those women a really good sense of what I had decided, what they could expect. And so I'm here to tell you, like, you get to have your moment of like questioning. I'm not going to say doubt because knowing isn't doubt. Knowing is trying to tell you something. You get to have that moment of like, oh, damn, like, what is this trying to communicate? And if it feels off, like, let that be. It doesn't have to inform the next action yet. You just have to let yourself be with it for a little while. And my invitation to you is like, put it in the comments. Let me know what it is. And I'll be back tomorrow, or hopefully I will appreciate the prompt a little bit more from my wonderful mentor. And I will see you then. I will probably be back. It's pretty late right now. I'll probably be back tomorrow at 1:30, something like that. And I'll see you then.